Today's topic of discussion will be congenital adrenal hyperplasia. This is a very important topic for a pediatric endocrinologist perspective. So, the main pillar of congenital adrenal hyperplasia is cortisol deficiency, and in all type of CAH, this cortisol deficiency will be universal, and this will lead to ACTH overproduction due to lack of feedback inhibition, and this high ACTH will cause hyperplasia of the adrenal cortex. So this is the triad of congenital adrenal hyperplasia: cortisol deficiency, high ACTH, and adrenal cortex hyperplasia. So prevalence of congenital adrenal hyperplasia is 1 in 12,000 to 15,000 live births. Before going to details, I just want to share one dictum that XY-DSD, that is XY disorder of sexual development or ambiguous genitalia, is an act of omission, and XX-DSD is an act of commission. That means for XY-DSD to be happen, you definitely have to uh, give some uh, you have to give some pathology where androgen will be less or deficient, and for XX-DSD to happen, there should be any pathophysiology where androgen will be excess. So this is the adrenal cortex, three-layered: zona glomerulosa, zona fasciculata, and zona reticularis, GFR. So from cholesterol, cortisol is synthesized, and due to some pathology, this cortisol will be deficient. So clinical feature for cortisol deficiency is failure to thrive, lethargy, and vomiting. As I told before, this cortisol deficiency is universal for all type of CAH. And two other arm of this steroid biosynthesis is androgen and mineralocorticoid. So our clinical features of different subtype of CAH will be there for either androgen excess or deficiency or mineralocorticoid excess or deficiency. So if there is androgen excess, as I told before, XX-DSD is an act of commission. So if there is androgen excess, there will be XX-DSD, virilization in girls, and precocious puberty in boys. Then if there is androgen deficiency, there will be XY-DSD and delayed puberty in girls. And if mineralocorticoid is excess, there will be hypertension, hypokalemia, and metabolic alkalosis. And if mineralocorticoid is deficient, there will be salt wasting, hyponatremia, hyperkalemia, and metabolic acidosis. So now we'll discuss in details about this steroid biosynthesis. So the first step will be 7-dehydrocholesterol to cholesterol by the enzyme dehydrocholesterol reductase. And this cholesterol will be sulfated immediately by esterase and lipase from the gene LIPA to cholesterol sulfate products. And from there, the start protein will help to transport the cholesterol into mitochondria, and by the help of side chain cleavage enzyme, pregnenolone will be synthesized. So inside mitochondria, the first enzyme we'll discuss, this is CYP17. Now this CYP17 enzyme has both hydroxylase and lyase activity, and depending on this two activity, the end product will be different. So remember, if you don't have both 17 hydroxylase or lyase activity, like in zona glomerulosa, there will be no 17 alpha hydroxylase or lyase activity. The end product will be mineralocorticoid. If you have only 17 hydroxylase activity and no lyase, like in zona fasciculata, the end product will be cortisol. And if you have both 17 alpha hydroxylase and lyase activity, the end product will be androgen, that is in zona reticularis. So from pregnenolone, 17-hydroxypregnenolone or progesterone, and from lyase it will be the end product will be DHEA, and it is immediately sulfated to DHEAS. Next important enzyme is 3-beta hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase. Now this enzyme has two isoforms. One isoform is in adrenal gland and other isoforms are active in liver, placenta and adipose tissue. So from DHEAs, androstenedione will be produced, and by the help of the enzyme 17-beta hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase, testosterone will be produced. And by aromatase enzyme, testosterone will be converted to estradiol. Next enzyme, which is the most common form of CA, is 21-hydroxylase enzyme. This will convert to deoxycortisone or 11-deoxycortisone. Remember, this deoxycorticosterone have mineralocorticoid activity, and by the help of the enzyme 11-alpha hydroxylase, cortisol is produced. Now, by this enzyme 11-beta hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase, cortisol is inactivated in the inactive form, that is cortisone. Now, this enzyme is important to discuss because the mineralocorticoid receptor has affinity to cortisol and mineralocorticoid in the same way, but in the mineralocorticoid responsive tissue, cortisol is immediately inactivated by the help of this enzyme 11-beta hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase to cortisone, so that mineralocorticoid can act on this mineralocorticoid receptor, not cortisol. So in zona glomerulosa, 11-aldosterone synthase enzyme convert deoxycorticosterone to aldosterone. So now there are some cofactors needed in this whole enzyme pathway. The most important is cytochrome oxidoreductase, and this cytochrome oxidoreductase is needed for three enzymes. One is 17-alpha hydroxylase enzyme, one is 21 hydroxylase, and other is aromatase. So in cytochrome oxidoreductase deficiency, the clinical features will be extremely variable because the lack of activity of all these three enzymes. So the clinical picture will be very variable and very difficult to diagnose. So now we will discuss one by one the different types of CAH. So first, this enzyme cortisol reductase, dehydrocholesterol reductase. So this enzyme, if it is deficient, so this syndrome is called Smith-Lemli-Opitz syndrome. Now this is not actually a part of CAH, but we should discuss it here. And as we can see that there will be no androgen and there will be no cortisol and aldosterone, so there will be salt wasting and XYDSD. Next is this LIPA enzyme, the sulfated product, and this will cause Ullmann syndrome, and we can easily diagnose by seeing adrenal calcification, and there will be salt wasting. And in this case, generally we don't found any type of DSD because as cholesterol is there and from peripheral activity of different enzymes, some amount of androgen will be produced, so there will be no XYDSD. Next enzyme, next protein, the star protein, this deficiency of star protein will cause lipoid adrenal hyperplasia, and also here also there will be no aldosterone, no mineralocorticoid, and also there will be no androgen. So there will be XYDSD, as XYDSD is an act of omission. There will be no androgen, so there will be XYDSD, and there will be salt wasting due to mineralocorticoid deficiency. Next enzyme is this CYP17 alpha hydroxylase. So as you can see that this aldosterone pathway is intact, there will be high level of mineralocorticoid and this will produce hypertension. And as there is no androgen, there will be XYDSD. So next most important enzyme is 3-beta HSD. So deficiency of this 3-beta HSD, the clinical feature is very variable. As I discussed earlier, that this enzyme has two isoforms. So even if the adrenal 3-beta hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase is deficient, but due to peripheral activity, there will be some amount of androgen. So this some amount of androgen will cause virilization of a girl baby, but this amount of androgen will not be sufficient to produce exact XY genitalia. So here both XX and XY DSD will be present, and there will be definitely salt to extinct, but not that severe as like 21 alpha hydroxylase deficiency. So the next most important 90% of CH is due to 20 alpha hydroxylase. And here you can see that as this androgen pathway is intact, there will be high level of androgen which will cause XX-DSD and salt wasting crisis. Next enzyme 11 alpha hydroxylase. Now you can see the aldosterone pathway and also cortisol pathway is gone, but androgen pathway is intact. So there will be definitely XX-DSD, but this due to high level of deoxycorticosterone, which have also mineralocorticoid activity, there will be hypertension. Then there is a very important finding in this 11 alpha hydroxylase. Sometimes this will create some confusion between classical 21 hydroxylase deficiency. This deoxycorticosterone level, though it has mineralocorticoid activity, but during the neonatal period, the mineralocorticoid graph is very high. They need a high level of mineralocorticoid to prevent salt wasting. But this deoxycorticosterone don't have that much amount of mineralocorticoid activity. So during the neonatal period, this 11 alpha hydroxylase can present with salt wasting. But later on, when the baby came into infancy, then to childhood, then there will be hypertension and other findings. So next is cytochrome oxidase deficiency. As I told before, the clinical feature is extremely variable due to the less activity of the all the three enzyme aromatase, 21 hydroxylase and cytochrome oxidase. So it will produce both XX and XY-DSD and saltohexin. So there are two type of congenital adrenal hyperplasia where both XX and XY-DSD can be found. That is 3-beta hydroxysterase dehydrogenase and cytochrome oxidoreductase. Now this 11 beta hydroxysterase dehydrogenase enzyme, it is also not a part of CAS, but this enzyme deficiency will cause apparent mineralocorticoid excess syndrome. As I told that this 11 beta hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase will convert cortisol to cortisone. If this is not there at the mineralocorticoid receptors, there will be high level of cortisol which will act on these mineralocorticoid receptors, and this will cause features like mineralocorticoid excess, that is hypertension and hypokalemia. But actually if you do an aldosterone level, it will be absolutely normal. So licorice poisoning, apparent mineralocorticoid excess syndrome. So next is our 11 aldosterone synthase deficiency. It will cause salt wasting. This is also not a part of cortisol deficiency, or this is not also a part of congenital adrenal hyperplasia. Next is aromatase deficiency, which is called, as there is no estradiol, there will be excess DSD, and also there will be maternal virilization. So if we classify this CH according to the mineralocorticoid and androgen level and activity, so if mineralocorticoid is deficient, and then we see androgen, if androgen is excess, so androgen excess is there in 21 alpha hydroxylase, 3 beta and cytochrome oxidoreductase. If it is deficient, it is star, 3 beta and POR, and if it is normal, it is 11 aldosterone synthase deficiency. If mineralocorticoid is normal, if androgen is excess, this is 17 beta HSD, and deficiency will be there in aromatase. If mineralocorticoid is excess, androgen is also excess in 17 alpha, deficient will be 11 alpha, and normal in 11 beta HSD. So there is a mnemonic to remember. If we draw a table with 21, 11 and 17 and write aldo and testo, that is aldosterone and testosterone, and put the number 21117. Now if you consider this one as an upward arrow, so this will determine the clinical features. So in 11 alpha hydroxylase, aldosterone also in 17, aldosterone will be high, so there will be hypertension, and in 21 and 11 testo will be high, so there will be XX DSD or virilization in a girl. So it is an easy way to remember. So when to suspect a case of congenital adrenal hyperplasia, one is ambiguous genitalia, definitely. Next, precocious puberty in boys, delayed puberty in girls, hypertension, any unknown pathology, and also salt loss, salt wasting crisis, dehydration, and hyperandrogenism like acne or hirsutism or polycystic ovary disease. Now, interpretation of 17 OHP level. So this should be done in a fasting and at 8 a.m. The false positive 17 OHP, that is high level of 17 OHP in spite of the pathology, there will be no pathology, will be there in case of prematurity, also in case of stress, and also during the neonatal period. Due to high activity of the fetal adrenal gland, there will be very high level of sulfated product. So if the sample is not extracted, the 17 OHP levels will be falsely high. Now, if it is less than 300 ng per dl, so please remember, always concentrate on the unit mentioned from the lab. Ng per dl, some lab mention it in ng per dl, some lab mention it in ng per ml, some lab mentions it as nanomole per liter. So if it is less than 300 ng per dl or less than 3 ng per ml, CH is unlikely. If it is greater than 3500 ng per dl, it is most likely 21 alpha hydroxylase deficiency. If it is 300 to 1200, some moderate amount of 17 OHP elevation will be seen in 11 alpha hydroxylase deficiency, 3 beta hydroxysteroid deficiency, and cytochrome oxydoreductase deficiency. If it is between 1200 to 3500 ng per dl, do an synectan stimulation test, and if it is again less than 1000, CH is very unlikely. So for the newborn screening program for diagnosis of congenital adrenal hyperplasia, this is published in 2020 January in Indian Pediatrics. They gave some cutoff according to gestational age and birth weight. So you can see that if the baby is term and greater than 2.5 kg weight, the cutoff level is 37.5, but this is in nanomole per liter. To convert it, they said that 2 nanogram per ml multiplied by 0.66, but actually this is wrong. This is a mistake, maybe typing error. This will be 0.33, so that the exact value will be 12.5 ng per ml or 1200 ng per dl. Cutoff will be that. So today we discussed about the different types of CH and some interpretation of the 17 OHP level. I think the management part and treatment part we'll discuss on a different day. I will stop this for today. Thank you. If some questions from the PGTs, please ask.
Not from PGTs, but Hriday. Often when babies presented with these classical features, we should be sending a random cortisol, and random meaning random. But often what happens is PGTs will not send, they'll say random, next early morning pathabe, or অনেক কোনো reason থাকে. So what do you think about that?
Actually,
shouldn't we be sending the random cortisol and maybe an ACTH as well simultaneously?
No, actually, to diagnose CAH, you neither need ACTH nor need cortisol. In a classic case of CAH, you will definitely have elevated 17 OHP. And also, you are saying that random cortisol. So, if a child, if a baby is presenting in a stressed condition like a adrenal crisis, a random cortisol is fine enough to diagnose cortisol deficiency.
Because right. We've had a case previously where we had adrenal insufficiency.
Yeah.
We can't say whether it was CH, just adrenal insufficiency.
So if a child presented with adrenal insufficiency and adrenal crisis, you can send cortisol, random cortisol anytime. And for neonate, cortisol you can say send random because this circadian rhythm is not established in neonatal period.
Yes, exactly. If you could just emphasize the point that random does mean random cortisol.
Yeah, random cortisol, random 17 OHP, because this that 8 a.m. is for only for some in childhood, not for the neonatal period.
Absolutely. Often I have stress, but it doesn't get sent because they would just want to send an early sample and everything. What do you think about sending an ACTH?
Actually, if you can send it in a single sample, but you have to remember that ACTH test is very costly, first of all, and secondly, ACTH actually it is a very difficult test to perform because during the transport also ACTH is লেভেল একটু গন্ডগোল হয়ে যায়, সাথে সাথে টেস্ট করতে অনেক কিছু নিয়ম আছে, ওই জন্য and the cost is also very high. So in a classic case of 17 CAH, we sometimes don't need ACTH actually.
Okay.
But definitely, according to literature, you should do ACTH.
And how many random cortisols should we be sending in a case of adrenal insufficiency? Maybe 2 or 3 or something like that?
No, one single sample is sufficient.
Okay, thank you.
One single. Yes, sir.
মানে তুই কি শুধু এখন ডায়াগনস্টিক পার্টটাই বললি?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, ম্যানেজমেন্ট
would you like to discuss little bit about the genetics of because prenatal diagnosis is very important in congenital adrenal hyperplasia.
ওটা আমি ম্যানেজমেন্ট পার্টে বলবো বলে রেখেছি, এটা অ্যাকচুয়ালি এটা বেশি বললে আজকে একটু বেশি হয়ে যেত বলে আমি আজকে।
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা। তো তুই বললি যে চাইল্ডহুড লাগে কর্টিসল সার্কাডিয়ান রিদমটা আসতে, মানে আমি যতদূর জানি যে উইদিন ফিউ মান্থস এসে যায়।
হ্যাঁ, মানে নিউনেটাল পিরিয়ডটা পেরিয়ে গেলেই ঠিক আছে।
হ্যাঁ,
এটা নিউনেটাল
পিরিয়ডটা পেরিয়ে গেলেই ওটা এসে যায় আর কি, মেবি ইন 2-3 মান্থস সেটা এসে যায়।
হ্যাঁ,
বাট একটা জিনিস শুধু আমি বলবো যে মাই এক্সপিরিয়েন্স and I have also I have not burned my finger because I referred the case to someone that preterm baby দুটো প্রবলেম, একটা হচ্ছে যে ক্লাইটোরিসটা ভীষণ প্রমিনেন্ট থাকে and ওদের 17 হাইড্রক্সিপ্রোজেস্টেরন লেভেলটাও হাই থাকে। So this sometimes causes a problem as if there is congenital adrenal hyperplasia. So এইগুলো is very important to correlate the other factors, the sodium, potassium level. So এই preterm baby গুলোকে diagnosis of congenital adrenal hyperplasia, how will you do?
Actually, the recent article in Indian Pediatrics, they said that for preterm babies, even if you screened once before 2 weeks of age, after 2 weeks of age, a second screening is indicated in case of preterm baby, and also in the mother who had received antenatal steroids. So a second tier of screening is should be definitely done for the premature babies.
Good.
PGTs. A
request to all the PGTs is that তোরা statistics course enroll কর, because you will not get this opportunity to learn again.